Hello everyone. South Africa has made major gains on HIV treatment, but for many people living with HIV, stigma is still a daily reality. Today, the PLHIV sector under SANAC released the new HIV Stigma Index 2.0, a people living with HIV-led study of more than 5,000 participants across all 9 provinces. It shows progress in reducing external stigma, but also deep, persistent internalized stigma, especially among young people and key populations. It's still driving fear, silence and treatment delays. To unpack what this means for our HIV response, I'm joined by Profesor Mbulelo Dyasi, Secretary General of the SANAC PLHIV sector. Professor Dyasi, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm interested in this study, people living with HIV-led study. So it's individuals with HIV that have carried out the study themselves. How significant was this in carrying out this study?
For us, this is an achievement because for some time we used to see professionals collecting information in our communities, but this time we decided to do this ourselves. We commissioned, for instance, NAPWA, that NAPWA should lead this campaign, and then we went to Bangkok, for instance, to attend a workshop of Global Network of People Living with HIV, where we were given tools on how to conduct a study like this in our communities. Then we approached Human Science Research Council to say to them, please, in the process, capacitate us, work with us, so that at the end of the day, to be able to, conduct even literature review in the near future.
Now, the one thing that we talk about, this new HIV Stigma Index 2.0, and it's a research on stigma because it's such an integral part to living with HIV, or it certainly has. What progress has been made over the years?
There is progress because majority of people in this country, people live with HIV are around 8 million, and I think about 4 million are on ARVs already, including myself. And I'm collecting my medication at Southgate Mall, for instance. It's an achievement. And I'll collect my medication again next year, April. So people are now enjoying even to go to shopping malls to collect their medication instead of long queues in our clinics. Recently, there is this new injection, for instance, and we're encouraging young people who are negative to exploit that process. So there are achievements in terms of fighting HIV in South Africa. It's such that now this report shocked us because we thought we have arrived. We're managing this battle, especially towards 2030. But this report is now taking us back to say, no, you are not done. Go back to your communities and fix this mess.
So what's the mess? What has it highlighted?
Now stigma still there, but this time within our families, the painful part. Our families are now problematic in terms of stigma. And
so what you're saying is that I, as an individual who knows that you have HIV, I'm okay with you. The problem is when you get home or to your family.
Yeah, I'm a Jida, we don't have issues. Even myself from here, I'm joining a friend of mine, Bongani, beginning, it's December. But I can't do that at home because I'll always avoid topics that are around me and my condition. Why are we not talking about others? All the time I must be an attraction at home. So young people are now, people with HIV, in terms of this report, are now avoiding social gatherings where they are family members because will become a topic, So we choose to stay home, isolate ourselves. I'm lucky because I'm with my wife here in Johannesburg. I'm far from my family, so I'm not a topic. So these are the things that are experienced by people with HIV on the ground. So that means this time around, when we come up with interventions in terms of prevention, education, now we must target families. Same as a TB program, there are door-to-door campaigns on TB where health workers are visiting homes. That means this time around we must do the same.
Now, we also discovered from a report that only about 1/3 of participants are part of some form of support group, right? and mental health obviously becomes an issue, particularly when you raise the challenges around stigma at home.
Yeah.
How important is it for individuals living with HIV to be part of some form of support group?
I think somewhere, especially when it comes to support groups, we drop the ball. Support groups are no longer effective. That means we need to now revive those structures, including adherence clubs. Because now people with HIV are not living with HIV only. For instance, I'm also diabetic. I'm also epileptic. I have a heart condition. I'm taking so many medications at home, and it's really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it affects my mental health in the process. And there are people like that in our communities who are now getting sick, not because of HIV, but for, other conditions. It's really stressing us. It's depressing, by the way. So we need to have support groups where we now can discuss all these conditions.
So how do you create, or how do you resuscitate these support groups?
I think through our organizations. People live with HIV sector, it's more like a consortium of TAC, NAPWA, SANARELA, PAC, and people, and the Positive Women's Network. And all of us are members of SANAC, South African National AIDS Council. So through the networks and other sectors within SANAC, we'll be able to influence society. But I think we need to come up with new tools, new ways of regrouping. We can't go back and use same old style of some magogo somewhere in the township who is linked, or she was a nurse before, now she must organize people with HIV. That cannot work. People with HIV themselves must regroup themselves. If we managed as people with HIV to come up with such a report that is going to influence policies of this nation, that means we can do this ourselves.
Now when we talk about stigma, the one group that's evidently in the firing line is the LGBTQI plus community, so the queer community.
Yeah.
They have a lot of challenges. Has there been any progress in dealing with stigma in that community, firstly? And then also, in the same breath, Professor, is to look at individuals and the stigma associated, or the way they're treated at clinics.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stigma is with health professionals, where they will call you out and, hey, you with HIV, or whatever it is that they say to you in that setting. How do you manage those two groups?
Yeah, fortunately, this time we agreed that we are going to include LGBTIQ community, sex workers, and persons with disabilities. They are part of this report. So when we go to communities, we'll go together. But we're going to also involve Department of Justice, for instance, not only health, because those clinics are not religious churches. Clinic is a government institution. So the nurses inside cannot treat LGBTI community because of religious whatever. Clinic is for everybody, including LGBTI community. If you want to implement your religious laws, go to your church on Sunday, but the facility is not a church. It's for everybody. So that's what we are saying now, because if my daughter, for instance, can come up tomorrow and say, I'm a lesbian, I'm expecting my child to get services at the clinic. No nurse must tell her that, hey, your father is an archbishop. No, the clinic is for everybody, and those kids must be serviced.
All right, I like that. Prof, now, the report ends with very strong recommendations. Now, if you had to speak directly to three groups, the government and SANAC, healthcare workers and ordinary South Africans, and families and workplaces, what message would you send to each group?
We're fortunate that we still have AIDS Council in South Africa. And the AIDS Council is inclusive. All these sectors are there, including government. So we're able to meet. When you see us on the streets, you must know that Minister Motsoaledi is not listening. Fortunately, at this time around, he's still there with SANAC. We're able to engage him. But this report requires all of us to come together and really make sense as South Africans to say we cannot continue treating each other like this. We are human beings. Let's treat each other with respect. With stigma, there's something interesting. Most people are experiencing stigma is people who cannot afford, and it's people who cannot fight back. A person of my caliber will never experience stigma in our society because they know I know law and I'm going to fight back, and they know that at least I have knowledge when it comes to human rights. But people who are experiencing stigma is those who cannot fight back, is those who are in communities, and women in particular.
Professor, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. A new HIV Indexed 2.0 report by people living with HIV has been revealed, and Professor Mbulelo Dyasi, Secretary General of SANAC PLHIV sector, was speaking to us on the progress made in that regard.